We have started to record the most recent session of SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking, for the first summer session. It is Thursday, June 15th, 2023. This is session 11 of 19 scheduled. Not only does it go by very quickly, but 2 weeks from today, the first summer session is concluded. We got off to a very positive start yesterday with day one of informative speeches, and in just a moment we're going to go through, as we often do, a video of yesterday's proceedings to see in short little bits and pieces of what people were working on. A friendly reminder for those of you who are sending me materials during class, I've got my SAU email and my Yahoo email addresses open. So if you come in a little bit late and want to send me something, ideally I will be able to play it before the end of class. For the rest of you, make certain that you double check your sent email files to ensure that your Loom or your YouTube link is available so we can all see them and that they can be memorialized during a class session. With that in mind, let's first of all go to the student preview mode on Blackboard. Here is our most recent listing of course recordings with our informative speech day one yesterday, all the way down to our first day of the term. I want to ensure that all of your work on those 8 graded speech days are going to be shown during a class session and recorded for posterity. Whenever I break them down for content and delivery and visuals, muting the audio, checking your complete sentence structure with closed captioning on, looking at your eye contact, double checking the design consistency of your slides, the video is going to be so incredibly helpful for me as a professor to give you positive feedback and for you to give yourselves constructive criticism for all of the video recordings that you have, but we don't see. How can you improve from all of them is a big thing. And with that in mind, before we get to our day 2 presentations for informative speeches, let's take a quick look of what we were examining yesterday for class. This is on Class Collaborate Ultra. I also have them on YouTube. A representative sample of yesterday's class session. We have started to record the most recent session of SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking, for the first summer session. It is a stormy Wednesday, June 14th, 2023. Today is day one of informative speeches. Tomorrow, Thursday, will be day 2. As I've indicated all through the term, we've come along quite nicely, but now we need to amp up the quality of your content and delivery and visuals. Also, a reminder that next week we transition to persuasive speeches. The research is not that different than informative, but you're putting your own persuasive spin on it. It doesn't have to be an overly controversial topic like you might see the hot takes on CNN or Fox News Channel or MSNBC, but something that is important to you. And we'll be talking about that come next week. A reminder that for those of you who have been a little bit behind, that today is the last day to drop the course. Let me show you what my email looks like with my informative data. Anything above Michaela's presentation, these are all of the emails that I have received from both addresses. The James Reppert means I forwarded it from my SAU address till this time of the recording. I'll check the audio to make certain that we can hear it. I'll check the video to make sure it works, but I don't watch any of these in totality until we actually show them in class. I will continue to monitor each of my emails during class to make certain that if anyone sends me anything, I can put it up on the screen. But our first informative speech on day one is Abriana discussing the royal life of Queen Charlotte, and here we go.
Hello, I'm Abriana, and I will be doing my informative speech on Queen Charlotte. Born in 1744, Sophia Charlotte was the baby of 8 children. Being the youngest girl, she had very limited education. She studied botany and natural history.
A nice job from that particular historical approach. And by the way, guys, it's not unusual for people to have historically based informative speeches. As we've seen over the past couple of days, they can be informative with personal experience.
With to help you through whatever you're going through. Nothing ever has to be done in silence. And this is the end of my speech for depression. I hope that everyone has taken something away from this speech, even if it was just the slightest bit, as knowing that you can be a listening ear and save someone's life, or knowing how to spot out somebody that you may think have depression in your family. I hope that this was very informing to you, and thank you. I hope that this was very
That we've had give a speech so far today. The improvement is obvious. Are there going to be issues? Yes, whether it be vocalics or drop G's, but those are small issues. And whenever I'm watching all of these, of course, I'm a glass half full person.
body. If you eat at home and eat more healthy, you can also save a lot of money in your pockets.
Now let's mute her audio and check out her eye contact. Each of our 3 presenters so far have been very consistent with looking first at their notes and then checking out the webcam,
transmitted through sex toys. Using latex gloves whenever fingering can protect the vagina and anus. And also, making sure that your condom covers the entire genital area is very important as well.
is pretty strong because this is set up accurately about sexual health, not being pressured. If not comfortable, let your partner know.
Security or tampering with evidence, which means they have to seal the evidence, collect it.
Tips. And this is from Ms. Brewer. And we will unmute, as we did not do for the previous one. And here we go.
Good afternoon. My name is Micaiah Brewer, and I will be doing a presentation over sex safety. I thought that it would be kind of important.
A place where you want the webcam and don't move it. Leave it in one location throughout. If that means making this a little bit smaller, fine. Again, this week, it's not this case as an informative speaker. So as we wrap things up today for day 1 of informative speeches, a couple of different items that I want to address. All of you watching your course videos and watching your own course presentations can improve that content, that delivery, that visual approach that you have is incredibly important, which is why I strongly encourage you to watch all of the course videos, which I showed you in the tools area of Blackboard early on for all of the recordings, because today is session 10. In 2 weeks from tomorrow, we'll be at number 19 and we'll be through. Let's make certain that we continue on a positive path, and that come the last day of the term, in 15 days, we finish in style. Informative speech day 2 is tomorrow. Please make certain that I have all of your documentation no later than 12 noon or 12:30 tomorrow, so I can put everything up on the screen to make certain that your work is available to be viewed by your classmates. As for SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking for the first summer session of 2023, that concludes the recording session for today. Breaking down everyone's speech, I think, is so helpful for all of you in the long run to see what's going on with my eye contact. How can I improve my organizational structure to remain, as Professor Reppert always says, extemporaneous, not reading everything off of my slides, and conversational, being personable, likable. All of those elements really do matter. I told you early in the term that the camera does not lie. It's a more formalized version of conversation. But obviously, the more you practice, the better off you're going to be. With that in mind, let's go back to where we left off on Blackboard. Leave it here for just a to let all of you soak in. Those 19 class sessions will be available probably until at least 24 hours after our last class session in 2 weeks. Then come back over here over the weekend at the My Grades area. More likely on Sunday night, I will be posting all of the scores. If you haven't presented a demonstrative speech by now, especially those of you who have not been in contact with me, even though you may have been watching the videos on Blackboard, and I can tell in the Grade Center when you are on Blackboard, but I can't grade what I don't have. At the instructor information area, keeping in mind that the website and my YouTube channel are essential areas for research. Our course itinerary for next week, jumping ahead for just a moment, Persuasive Speech Week with research, topic selection on Monday and Tuesday, and the speeches on Wednesday and Thursday. Before we get to our presentations for the day, however, I wanted to return to the syllabus for this reason. 20 points are available for each of the 4 major graded presentations. 10 points for class participation and 10 points here. A self-evaluation speech critique due on the last day of class, sent to my Yahoo address either as a Word document or an email to me, a realistic appraisal of personal improvement during the course regarding content, delivery, visuals. I wanted to discuss this even before day 2 of informative speeches for you, just to start to think about how you can approach this. It doesn't have to be fantastically long. In fact, while you were looking at bits and pieces of yesterday's class session for informative speech day 1, I was scrolling through my archives at Yahoo to post an example of what one student did during the first summer session of last year. Here is an example of a speech evaluation critique. They may be longer, they may be shorter, but this is what someone said 1 year ago. Quote, "When I first started this class, I thought that I was really good at public speaking. I can't tell you the number of times I deleted a recording when I first started." Sound familiar? "I was getting mad because I couldn't get it right and I would mess up multiple times." Sound familiar? "As time went by, I started to listen to what you said about my recordings and got better. It went from deleting a bunch of recordings to feeling confident and getting it right the first time. I believe that I have improved over this summer session. Taking this class has given me better confidence and boosted my ability to speak clearly and in a good tone. I enjoyed this class and it helped me a lot. I will take what I learned from you in the future with me." That was from Mariah Easter. If I wanted to look through any of these items going back, as you can see on the far right-hand side, to a year ago, I've got self-evaluations and wildcard speeches, persuasive, informative, demonstrative, all the way through. I keep everything. Here you can see summer of 2021. What I'll be doing over the next couple of weeks is to show more of those, just to give you an idea or a sampling of how you might want to discuss your own self-evaluation. It doesn't have to be in the form of a paper or something that is very formal, but an item that is honest in terms of your own abilities as a researcher first and foremost, then organizing your ideas into a slideshow that makes sense for you. And keep in mind, starting next week, I don't want to see any of the slideshows on the far left-hand side. It should be full with your webcam in a particular location, not moving it. At the beginning of class on Monday, I'll probably have a list, whether written down or verbalizing them, about different areas in which we've improved and where we can continue to improve over our final 2 presentations of the day. Our 5 informative speeches that I have up on the screen are ready to go. The first one that I'm going to put up, and I say 5, even though there may be some more that are going to be sent to me, but our first presentation of the day is going to be from Chloe. Here is what she is examining. This, I believe, is going to be on heartworms. She sends me a file format that is slightly different, but I should be able to play this. I was examining this during class. It doesn't give me the opportunity to go back and check closed captioning, but all of these, for those who are here with me live during class, I will play these to make certain that the audio can be heard and the video can be seen. So our first informative speech on day 2 is Chloe, and here we go.
Hey everyone, it's me, Chloe Ray. I am a pre-vet student at SAU, and this is my informative speech on what are heartworms. Heartworms is a very known subject around the United States, especially the southern part, just due to our muggy hot weather, which can cause a lot of mosquitoes. With it just raining today, the mosquitoes are going to be out when it warms up in the next few days, so make sure that your pet is on a heartworm prevention. So for my first slide of today's presentation is the definition of heartworms. Some of you may not know what heartworms are at all, but then some of you may know like a general representation of, oh, my pet has heartworms. So this is the correct definition for heartworms. It's a small thread-like nematode, which is also considered a parasitic roundworm that's transmitted through mosquitoes. After the mosquito bites your pet, the parasite travels through your pet's bloodstream and can cause serious damage to your pet's vital organs, which can lead to tons of symptoms that you may not know are actually caused by heartworms. Now, for this slide, we have effects of heartworms. Heartworms are considered a disease that makes its way inside of your pet. Heartworms can cause many things. They can cause lung disease, heart failure, organ damage, fluid buildup, and worst case, death. In this video that I have attached to this slide, this is a case of fluid buildup, which is caused by heart failure. When the heart fails, you get fluid buildup in the abdomen, which is caused by heartworms. This is a very severe case. In this case, we insert little drains. We inserted 3 into this dog's abdomen, and we drain the fluid, which can cause relief for the pet, and it also helps them be able to breathe because that fluid will put pressure around your heart and lungs, which can cause your pet not to be able to breathe as well. This is all caused by heartworms, and many people don't realize this. They thought that, oh, her stomach is swollen, maybe she has a blockage somewhere. So that was her first thought, but our first thought is your pet on heartworm prevention? Now, for this slide, we have history and facts of heartworms. Heartworms were first discovered in 1856 on the southeastern coast of the United States. Now, this discovery was actually in dogs. This was the first discovery in dogs. But the actual first discovery of heartworms itself as the disease was discovered in a horse. Now, heartworms can have different effects on your dog depending upon the location of the heartworms in the body. When they are located in the right atrium, fluid buildup can occur, and that's normally our most common thing that we see when the heartworms are located in the right atrium. Now, when they are located in the left atrium, the dog will cough and continue to cough, and it honestly sounds like they are trying to dislodge something in their throat. So many patients that we see, their owners will think that something may be stuck in their throat or stuck in the roof of their mouth, but actually when you heartworm test them, it will generally come back positive due to this cough. Now, heartworms, it takes them 6 to 7 months to fully develop. In the next few slides, I will show a video of the baby heartworms, which is microfilaria. You can see them under the microscope. Now, that is them at their smallest stage. So it takes 6 to 7 months to get to their full length. A male heartworm can get up to 4 to 6 inches, while a female can reach 10 to 12 inches. That's kind of crazy thinking that a dog may have a worm that's over a foot long located in their heart. Now, these are two pictures. Now, the first picture on top is heartworms actually in the heart, kind of showing you what they look like, where they might be located. And the other picture is actually heartworms that were extracted from a patient in a jar. It's really kind of cool working in the vet industry. We put many things in jars just because of how big of a discovery this is, just how cool it is to us in the vet industry. Now, this is used for education purposes, just like now I have access and am able to show you guys what this looks like. Now that I have you all very intrigued on my speech topic, the big question is what causes heartworms? This is a single mosquito bite. A single mosquito bite. We all get bitten by mosquitoes, but a single mosquito bite can give your dog the heartworm disease. And if your dog gets bit by this blood-borne parasite that this mosquito carries, your dog will be in harm's way. And due to our muggy weather that we have here in South Arkansas and North Louisiana, we see lots of mosquitoes. You walk out your back door and you're covered in mosquitoes. So just imagine if your dog is not on a preventative, they're covered in mosquitoes too, just like we are. But we take desperate measures of mosquito spray, so that's why you should take desperate measures of heartworm prevention. Now, this slide is possibly one of the most important slides that you will see in this presentation, is how to prevent. As of now, right now in today's technology, the heartworm disease is only prevented through regular use of prescribed medications. You can get these at your vet's office. These could be either a monthly chewable or a topical, a 6-month or 12-month injection. Our 6-month and 12-month injections are the Pro Heart shots, which I use on my dogs, and your monthly chewables or topicals could either be by Simparica Trio, HeartGuard. There's many out there. You just need to research your options and pick which one fits best for you. The Pro Hearts run on the expensive side just because of how good they are. You get 6 months of prevention for this much money, and you get 1 month of prevention for this much money. So for me personally, find it the better route to go the Pro Heart 12. All of them are very good preventatives, and we have seen no trouble out of any of them. Now, my last slide for today is how to treat if infected. Diraban is the #1 drug used for the treatment of heartworms. This drug kills and breaks down the heartworms in 3 simple shots. These shots are injected deep into the back muscle of your pet. They are alternated between shots, so one will go on the right, your second one will go on the left, and your third one and final one will go on the right. And the average lifespan of heartworms are 5 to 7 years. So if you do not keep your dog on a heartworm prevention and your dog ends up getting heartworms, this is a great route to go in treatment-wise, just because it kills the heartworms so quick. I think it's like a 4-week treatment span. I'm actually having to do it on my rescue dog. Her name is Pickles. There's her picture right here in this slide. I rescued her 3 months ago and found out that she was heartworm positive. So we started the treatment 2 weeks ago, and she gets her next treatment next week. So it will be her second and third shot, and that will conclude her heartworm treatment. And within 6 months, she should be heartworm free. This heartworm case that we have is a very detrimental case. If you do not treat your dog can end up having some serious damage to their vital organs. Now, heartworms are predominantly in the southern part of the United States just because of our weather. And that is why heartworms are so widespread in our area, and it's so important for you to keep your dog on a heartworm prevention. I'm glad that I was able to give you all of this information. Maybe it will help you decide on what you need to do with your pet and what you may be doing wrong with your pet. Heartworms.
We're picking up a little audio in the background. I'm guessing most of it is from her overhead fan. Let's double check the end of this. She didn't really give a definitive thank you, but I'll give her the benefit of the doubt just because of the uniqueness of the topic. Whenever you're watching that first video, it does feel like it's on a loop because it plays over and over again. It may be a little bit graphic for some, but if you have an animal in your household, it really becomes a member of your family. Let's take it back to the beginning. Mute the audio. First of all, let's check out her visuals. The format that she's sending this on does not have closed captioning options, so let's check out what are heartworms. I'd probably make this bold face so it's easier to see, but it is creative for a title slide. She always places her webcam or inserts her video with this particular video format in the bottom left-hand portion of the screen. No issues with lighting. With many speeches of this nature, you're going to inform us oftentimes with either an historical device or some type of overall definition of the term. And that's what she does with heartworms. All the way through, double check everyone's stylistic approach when it comes to their eye contact. That's so much a part of the overall effectiveness of a speaker. There you can see, and like I said, I'm pretty sure that video was on a loop because it came back and played over and over again. It may be gross to some, but as I mentioned a moment ago, if this is a member of your family, you want the animal to be healthy. And then we move on to the history and facts. If you did not know what was in that vial on the right, you may think it is grass or weeds, or certainly what's inside the heart, that actually looks like pasta or spaghetti. So a male heartworm, as she says in her final bullet point, can reach up to 4 to 6 inches, while a female can reach 10 to 12. Examine her design consistency with her slide color, her design with the font style, with the bold face for each of the headlines, and then a consistent approach to not only each of these bullet points. They're very light on the left-hand side. She can talk about this, which is much depth and specificity as she chooses, and then also here and here, as she did on that previous slide with the video of the dog undergoing the procedure. It takes 6 to 7 months for a heartworm to fully develop. As we move on, still the same slide, she's looking down at her notes, looking back up. Sincerity, knowledgeability, the fact that, as you know from her demonstrative speech, this is something that she wants to do for a career. So she's seen quite a bit of this all the way through. And the fact that that's one mosquito bite can give your dog heartworm disease. It really is fascinating to see how just one mosquito bite can affect anyone, what it looks like in a microscope. And then we continue to move on. Let's open up our eyes. Where how to prevent heartworm with all of these medications. For those of you who have dogs, I'm sure that if you go to either of the veterinary locations in Magnolia, either on the east side of town or the west side of town, this is something that's going to be part of your medicinal plan, especially when the puppies are needing medication. Interesting to note the body movements of all of you. We're all going to be unique in our own way, trying to think about what she wants to say. Now let's focus on her webcam shot for just a moment, or her inserted video. The concentration of her eyes, looking at how to treat if infected. She's got one larger bullet point, one smaller, and then 2 visuals. So she can talk about the animal if she chooses, talk about the medication, or do it in general with 3 simple shots, and that this particular medication is the #1 drug used for the treatment of heartworms. The position of her body and her eyes, as is all of you, going to be changing throughout. Don't any of you so far are coming across as being really nervous. Same thing here, same thing here. Let's go back, as we've been doing so far this week, not only with videos from previous courses, but also with you yesterday. Let's watch roughly the last minute of this, checking out her ability to wrap up a speech in style.
So we started the treatment 2 weeks ago, and she gets her next treatment next week. So it will be her second and third shot, and that will conclude her heartworm treatment. And within 6 months, she should be heartworm free. This heartworm case that we have is a very detrimental case. If you do not treat your dog can end up having some serious damage to their vital organs. Now, heartworms are predominantly in the southern part of the United States just because of our weather. And that is why heartworms are so widespread in our area. And it is so important for you to keep your dog on a heartworm prevention. I'm glad that I was able to give you all of this information. Maybe it will help you decide on what you need to do with your pet and what you may be doing wrong with your pet. Heartworms.
And again, that's where she needs to have some kind of a definitive conclusion. With these particular video formats, if you feel like it's more comfortable for you to edit little parts of the video, it's okay. You guys are from the TikTok generation, so it really is not an issue to me. One final item before we move on. Let's mute the audio. Double check one more time because we can't do closed captioning. Just double check from back to front now. Her storytelling structure. Pay particular attention to the way in which she is using her text and images on her slide, and it is not impeding or not obstructing her video on the bottom left-hand portion of the screen. Pay particular attention as I go back to what it is like when the slides progress, in this case, from back to front. Nothing that she has here is going to be obscured. That's why it's so important for all of you from slide to slide to make certain that you game plan this out so your webcam or your video is going to be impeding anything that we need to see. Even there, just a little bit, but it's the graphic, so it's not really an issue. And then all the way back to our title slide on what are heartworms. As you can see, this is a slightly different format. It is some type of video stream, but certainly a very positive way to start off the day. For all of you, again, think about how you want to wrap up the speech with a really compelling conclusion, depending upon what your subject matter is. We are going to move from heartworms to something that has been given a lot of credence in courses of mine in the past regarding the subject of vitiligo. Certainly quite appropriate for an informative presentation. So this is Brooklyn. I like the way that she has her title slide set up, where she has, in this case, 4 separate images that are sandwiched around her title, her name, and then the course. When we're online, I'm certainly a little bit more sanguine about not necessarily being as specific as we might be in the classroom. But this is our second informative speech on the day from Brooklyn on the subject vitiligo.
I'll be going over vitiligo. So what is vitiligo? Vitiligo is an autoimmune disorder that causes patches of skin to lose pigmentation or color, and it usually gets bigger over time. This picture here on the right is a picture of Winnie Harlow. She is a model. She has her own skincare line. And here. So how it starts / the symptoms of vitiligo. So vitiligo starts out of nowhere. It starts around your hands and your face. It can turn patches of your hair white or gray. Like shown in this picture on the right over here, she has a streak of white or gray hair. And vitiligo can appear at any age, but it usually shows up before the age of 30. So the effects of vitiligo. Vitiligo does not affect you on a daily basis. It is non-life-threatening. It can affect any skin on your body, including the inside of your mouth, and as you see in the other picture, your hair. It can affect any race, but it shows up more on darker skin colors. And sunlight is something you'd have to be cautious with when having vitiligo because you can burn very easily. So treatments slash dermatologists. So if you think that you have vitiligo, you will go to a dermatologist. They will do an exam under different lighting, like this top picture right here. This is his vitiligo with normal lighting. This is another, this is a third type of lighting. You see, it is easier to see in the second picture or picture B. So once your dermatologist approves or says, yes, you do have vitiligo, you will choose from treatment options. And treatments are very slow and they do not cure vitiligo. Vitiligo is not curable. The first type that I decided to include was corticosteroids, and they work best if you just recently developed vitiligo. Another one that I chose to include, but there's way more, is ointments and creams. You can take or you can use them longer than the corticosteroids, and they're better with restoring color like back into your head and your neck. And I read that side effects is burning when you apply. Like this girl in this picture right here, she has camouflage makeup on. So your treatments, you can have makeup, self-tan, and skin dye. But yeah. There are 5 different types of vitiligo. Generalized vitiligo, which is the most common, it is symmetrical on your body, and it's in a few areas, and then it progresses and gets bigger. And this type is usually around your hands, wrists, elbows, underarms, lips, knees, ankles, and eyelids. The second type is segmental vitiligo, which is also known as unilateral vitiligo, where it's on one side of your body. This type of vitiligo appears more in kids, and it's more on your face, neck, arms, and legs. Next one is focal vitiligo. It is one of the more uncommon ones. It is not consistent, meaning that the pattern is not consistent, like when it says it's symmetrical. This one is not like that. It just, however, it wants to come. And it could be an early form of generalized vitiligo. Archofacial vitiligo is also known as lip tip vitiligo. It is another one of the uncommon ones. It shows up more in lips, fingers, and toes. And the last one is universal vitiligo, which is one of the more rare ones. And it's when 80% or more of your body loses pigmentation or color. And it can eventually turn into 100% just depending on your vitiligo. That's all I have. Thank you for watching my informative speech.
And like I said, we've had vitiligo topics in the past. It is something that is really challenging to do quality research on and condense it to a shorter speech, but I thought Brooklyn did a nice job. Let's start off with the creative way in which she produced her title slide with, again, those 4 visuals in clockwise fashion, whether it be a photograph or an artistic image, looking at the skin, looking at the eyes, looking at the hands, something like that is quite appropriate. She also has been very consistent throughout in having a webcam image that is well lit and well composed. Most of the time, when all of you are on camera, you're going to stay within a particular range, and that's what she did. When we examine her slides, it's appropriate to, as we talked about previously, define the term. What is vitiligo and how it usually gets bigger over time? And she described the young lady on the right-hand side who was the model. The design consistency all the way through works. Not anything that's really cluttered, but something that is going to be rather succinct in terms of how you have it set up with 2 bullet points and the image. Moving on, as we've been doing with everyone so far during the first summer session, checking out, in addition, the eye contact throughout, how it starts with the symptoms, the 4 bullet points, and what some of the effects are. This is where, and we were just talking about this with our first speaker, Chloe, because you do notice during her presentation, she moves the webcam. Always, as I had indicated, always set up your slides. Only then do you determine. For all of my slides, where is the place where there is a dead spot, where there really isn't any type of visual that's going to impede the ability of the audience to read any part of a bullet point or any part of an image? In this case, probably something on the top or the bottom, and she does move it. And by the way, it would be either A or E, depending upon the manner in which you use the term effects. And then we go on to the treatments from a dermatologist, whether it be exam skin under light, choose the treatment, makeup, self-tanner, skin dye, treatment slow and not curable, corticosteroid, and we've had other people talk about that in previous speeches on this subject matter, works best on recent developed, ointment or creams, longer than corticosteroid, better to restore head and neck, side effect, burning while applying. She went through that very well, very crisp fashion. Look at her head movement and her eyes as she's going through, and then we move on to the next slide. There we go. There's where she moved it. The generalized vitiligo with those bullet points, including hands, wrist, elbows, underarms, eyelids, lips, knees, and ankles, and then the focal vitiligo. But let's, from this point to the end of the speech, put on the closed captioning and check out, because we couldn't do it with Chloe's from her format, let's examine her complete sentence structure. This is where all of you will find real improvement in the course.
Next one is focal vitiligo. It is one of the more uncommon ones. It is not consistent, meaning that the pattern is not consistent, like when it says it's symmetrical. This one is not like that. It just, however, it wants to come. And it could be an early form of generalized vitiligo. Archofacial vitiligo is also known as lip tip vitiligo. It is another one of the uncommon ones. It shows up more in lips, fingers, and toes. And the last one is universal vitiligo, which is one of the more rare ones. And it's when 80% or more of your body loses pigmentation or color. And it can eventually turn into 100% just depending on your vitiligo. That's all I have. Thank you for watching my informative speech.
It was interesting, and I want to go back to one of these slides where you're discussing some of the remedies or some of the treatments from a dermatologist, and she's coming along quite nicely with speaking in complete sentences. Something like this, I think, for those of us who've never had a friend or family member, may not necessarily understand that if they want treatments, that some potentially are available. And Brooklyn continues to improve. That was her presentation on the informative topic of vitiligo. We now move on to another Loom presentation, and this is Jalissa, our third presentation of the day. And by the way, I just got one during that presentation and have it ready for you. Anything that I receive from either my SAU address or my Yahoo address, and on my Yahoo address, I'm always checking my spam email because some of these addresses may not immediately be recognized. This is our Loom presentation from Jalissa on the history of the Nintendo Wii console. Our first speech was about 8 minutes. Our second speech was right around 5. And it's the same way here. So this is Jalissa on the subject of Nintendo. Here we go.
of the Nintendo Wii console for Speech 1113, Intro to Public Speaking for Summer 1, 2023. What is Nintendo? Nintendo is a Japanese multinational video game company founded by Fujiro Yamauchi on September 23, 1880 in Kyoto, Japan. Nintendo originally sold playing cards, but its first console was released on July 15, 1983, called the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. What is the Wii? The Wii is a home video game console developed and marketed by Nintendo, and it was developed by Shigeru Miyamoto and Genyo Takeda. It was released November 19, 2006, and is Nintendo's fifth major home game console. Fun fact, I am older than the Wii. It is part of the seventh generation of home video game consoles. It was released with the Xbox 360, and with the Wii includes the console, the Wiimote, nunchuck, sensor bar, AV cable, and the power cable. When the Wii started, it sold 600,000 units within the first 8 days. Its first game was Wii Sports, which was released. Wii Sports contains the games tennis, bowling, baseball, golf, boxing, training games, and an own testing game. The prime of the Wii was in 2009 when it sold its most consoles with 26 million sold. The top Wii game of 2009 was New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Here is a trailer of it that was shown at E3. So what is really interesting about it actually is that when it was showed at E3, it actually looks a lot different from how it is now. The sounds are different, the quality is a bit different. There's a lot of many different things with it, but it's still a very fun game. So the Wii today is discontinued because it was discontinued back October 2013, but it's still actively used worldwide. I myself still use it. It's released in 2006, made a big impact. Since its release, it has sold 101.63 million consoles, and Wii Sports still continues to be the highest selling game for all of the Wii games. The 4 popular Wii games are Wii Sports with 82.9 million sales, Mario Kart Wii with 37.38 million sales, Wii Sports Resorts with 33.14 million sales, and New Super Mario Bros. Wii with 30.32 million sales. I play myself all these games. They're all equally fun. Thank you so much for my presentation. Have a great day.
And what I like is that I was on, sometimes I tend to forget to applaud. I was on another tab And luckily, Jalissa paused. That felt like 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. But luckily, it never recycled. Keeping in mind that if you want to incorporate outside audio or video, it certainly is appropriate for the occasion, which we'll get back to in just a moment. Let's take a look at her title slide, the history of the Nintendo console, with a nice large image. She's in the upper right-hand portion of the screen. She's improved the lighting from her first presentation. It also looks like her webcam is a little bit bigger. I might be wrong, but I like the way that is set up, because ideally you want the title slide to be representative of the presentation and not just something that has minimal thought put into it. And then we move on to what is Nintendo and the founding of this. Whenever I saw the title here, I think you mean to say 1980, unless that was the year he was born, but that probably wouldn't make sense. It's a small thing, don't worry about it. Because if it was founded in 1980, it would make sense that the first console was created in 1983. And if you ever go to a garage sale, or if you've got a family member or a grandparent or a mother or a father who had any kind of Nintendo or older equipment, save it, because that stuff is like gold. We have come so far since early video games in the 1970s with Pong. It really is amazing that it's now a worldwide multi-billion dollar business. What she has done here with the design consistency all the way through, with this font style, it looks like REL. Some people in my mass media courses, when they're putting together media presentations similar to that, they will do something similar to this and possibly put this in boldface. It's a small thing, but she's got all of her slides consistent all the way through with bullet points and font style the same color with the headlines. Same thing here with the Wii, with the image, with the bullet points, so she can remain conversational as we transition eventually into the video clip. And while we're doing this, as we have with first Chloe and then Brooklyn, pay attention to her eye contact, her face, her head, the way in which she or anyone else is moving to try to remain ideally someone who is a thoughtful, knowledgeable speaker. Same thing here with the start of We, somewhat of an historical perspective, which is appropriate for an informative speech. Notice the way that she sets this up with the video clip, and we'll play it in real time. We'll bring it back just a little bit to the beginning of the slide. Get to the transition, and now play.
Bowling, baseball, golf, boxing, training games, and our own testing game. The prime of the Wii was in 2009 when it sold its most consoles with 26 million sold. The top Wii game of 2009 was New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Here is a trailer of it that was shown at E3.
We'll play a little bit of this. As she did, it's so helpful for you to set up the relevance of the video and go ahead and play it. And then after the video is concluded, let's play roughly about the last minute or so of her speech with closed captioning up.
The sounds are different. The quality is a bit different. There's a lot of many different things with it, but it's still a very fun game. So the Wii today is discontinued because it was discontinued back October 2013, but it's still actively used worldwide. I myself still use it. It's released in 2006, made a big impact. Since its release, it has sold 101.63 million consoles, and Wii Sports still continues to be the highest selling game for all of the Wii games. The Four popular Wii games are Wii Sports with 82.9 million sales, Mario Kart Wii with 37.38 million sales, Wii Sports Resorts with 33.14 million sales, and New Super Mario Bros. Wii with 30.32 million sales. I play myself all these games. They're all equally fun. Thank you so much for my presentation. Have a great day.
The closed captioning is a little bit behind her voice, but you do get the idea. Now, one more time, pay particular attention from back to front as to how all of her visuals are placed in a storytelling structure that makes sense for Jalissa, with the bullet points on the Wii today and the image with all of the stats with the sales in the millions. And then moving back to the prime of the Wii and the video clip, which goes back to what is the Wii. Occasionally, if you think it's appropriate to change the font style of the headlines, that's fine. And then going back to what is Nintendo and the title slide. Everyone's approach to slides is going to be different. What stimulates your extemporaneous ability? Because that extemporaneous ability, whether it is text or whether it's some kind of image, is always designed to maximize your ability to be a quality, in this case, informative speaker. So we've had 3 nice speeches so far. Whenever we come back on Monday, as I'd indicated, there are some items that I will be discussing on which we can all improve, especially vocalics, drop Gs, issues with grammar, some style items such as the slides, whether or not the bullet points are consistent. All of those little things matter for your overall ability as a researcher transitioning into being a quality speaker. We now move on to our 4th presenter of the day, and I'm waiting for it to recycle. This is an online PowerPoint. This is from Michaela, and I'm just double checking to make certain that her video is loading, because with these online platforms, we always have to double check in advance to make sure that they are setting up properly. So while that's taking place, I just wanted to reinforce for all of you who are watching live, I'm double checking my SAU email address and my Yahoo email address in case anyone is sending me something that will be ready at the end of class. Let me recycle hers one more time, and there her face is on the screen. So hopefully, there we go, good. Let me show you this. Whenever you're sending me a format that's a little bit different, like Chloe, or like a couple of the rest of you that are not necessarily in Loom, sometimes I have to refresh it to make sure that I can see it exactly on the screen the way the rest of you are. So that's why I was vamping for time. This is Michaela's presentation with the facts on potholes. When we get into the slideshow mode, the editor will take that off. It does not recognize the spelling of her name, so that's why it's coming up on the screen. But for all of you, keep in mind, if you're doing something on that or on Loom with a slideshow, you always go slideshow from beginning. Then it goes full screen. So this is our 4th presentation of the day. Facts about potholes, Michaela Tell.
Hello everyone, my name is Michaela Tell. This is speech 1113, and today I will be giving you facts about potholes. Defining potholes. Potholes are the impurities of our roadways. We use our roads to get to school, work, grocery store, even the hospital, and potholes are in every roadway that we use. The cracks, holes, and abrasions we see while driving are essentially what we call potholes. There are 3 specific types of potholes: low severity potholes, moderate severity potholes, and high severity potholes. Low severity potholes can range from 1 inch in depth. Moderate severity potholes are 1 to 2 inches in depth, and high severity potholes are greater than 2 inches in depth. The formation of potholes. Potholes form in natural and man-made ways. Precipitation tends to sink through these roadways and start the origin of this process. When temperatures drop, this expands the ground beneath, pushing the pavement upward. And then temperatures rise, causing the ground to revert to normal temperature, leaving this elevated roadway. Then vehicles begin to drive over them, and this causes the pavement to essentially crack and collapse, which then forms a hollow space in the road, which we then call a pothole. Damage caused by potholes. Potholes can cause extensive damage to anyone's vehicle, being that potholes form on interstates, highways, and even back roads. The most common damage done by potholes are chips, cracks, and even bends in your rim, tire, or wheels. Suspension components and alignment problems can also occur in more severe potholes. In rare cases, a driver's engine and exhaust can also take backlash to deadly potholes. No matter what speed or car, vehicle, model, make, brand, anyone's vehicle is at risk of taking damage from a pothole. Evading potholes. In most cases, it is very challenging to avoid a pothole. However, it is not impossible. The challenge with avoiding potholes comes with other drivers and the heavy traffic flow. But we can avoid potholes by slowing down and coasting over holes. If you brake completely while driving over a pothole, this will do more damage to your vehicle than just not braking at all. If traffic is clear, a driver can also swerve into the oncoming lane to avoid a pothole completely. However, a lot of emphasis on if traffic is clear. You want to verify that no one is coming into the oncoming lane before you use this option to avoid a pothole. If possible, you can also take an alternative route. Back roads tend to have less traffic and tend to be smoother for this reason. Toll roads, however, tend to be an option as well, but they are also less cost effective, being that you will be charged for driving over a toll road. Solutions and preventions. To the left, I have a clipping of what you should do to coast over a pothole correctly. As you can see, the car is not doing a high rated speed and is also taking their time to clear the pothole. On the right, we have a clip of what you do not want to do whenever you see or are encountering a pothole. This car cleared it, however, that was an excessive speed. This Mustang, however, took a lot of damage, even though they were not at a high rate speed. And that is not what you want to do and what you want to do when you are faced with a pothole. Thank you.
And always when you're doing something like that on PowerPoint at the end, when the screen goes black, just hit escape and you see her structure all the way through. For some reason, with PowerPoints, when you put video on them, it's broken down with the video on each one. We had a couple of these last summer as well. But let's just start at the beginning and examine Michaela's style. Very attractive graphics all the way through. One of the things that is going to get an audience's attention is your attention to details, because that does matter. She has a font style that works, a color scheme that works, visual in the bottom right hand corner, and then we move on. What's going to stimulate her extemporaneous style, informing us about potholes? Visual again, consistent all the way in the bottom right-hand portion of the screen. It's not obscuring any text. That's where the details matter. Defining potholes with all of these bullet points. She can talk about them with as much depth or specificity as she would like, with an additional graphic right here. Any of you who have spent time in Southwest Arkansas, get off the main highways, get off of US 82, get off of US 79, get off of US 371, whether it's in Southwest Arkansas, North Louisiana, and many of those county roads may a long time ago have been set with asphalt, but most of them primarily are pothole heaven. And that's why something like this with all the rainy weather causes massive issues, because the maintenance for a brand new highway, whether it's state, interstate, county, the maintenance begins from the time that you've got a new layer of highway. Anything around SAU, a couple of miles, you can tell the difference. But defining potholes is key with the difference of severity. The formation of potholes, this is really a very good example, Michaela, where the cracks fill with water, the water freezes and expands, and the weakened pavement erodes. That's why all of counties in Arkansas or any other area in the United States will always have some device called a pothole patcher. It does some work, but especially, like I said, on some of those roads out in the middle of nowhere on any county in the United States, you can feel it when you're driving through. The damage caused by the potholes, suspension components, I thought that one was well explained. Evading the potholes, and then solutions and preventions with the proper way to hit a pothole and the incorrect way. So let's just go from this perspective. Where are we at here? Let's go here, solutions and prevention, slideshow from current slide. Let's see if this works. I don't know if it will, but we'll check. If we can pick up any audio or video. The way I have this set up on my slide, it's not working, but that's okay. You get the idea with the video clips and also her explaining it. So let's check this out one more time from bottom to top. The design of the slides is consistent. Same with the font style of the headlines and the font size of our bullet points. Pretty consistent all the way through. And that is the facts about potholes. So that brings us to our next presenter of the day. And I believe this is number 5. We are going to be looking at the topic on Loom of why stress and depression should be taken seriously. A variety of formats so far, but they're all equally effective. And remember what I talked about at the end of class yesterday. I want you, even though you're writing a self-evaluation speech critique in a couple of weeks, those 10 points that we discussed at the beginning of today's class, but also examine the ability for each of your classmates to improve. That ease on camera is only going to be much more so as we transition next week into persuasive speeches and the final week into wildcard speeches. This again is on stress and depression. And here we go.
That are depressed, or if they're telling you that they're not feeling it, that they.
I was checking this before class, so we'll bring it back to the beginning, and here we go.
Hello, I am Antasia Easter, and today I'm going to do an informative speech over the reason why stress and depression should be taken seriously. What is stress and depression? Stress is a mental and emotional strain caused by adverse circumstances. Depression is a common mental disorder that many people suffer, over 264 million people worldwide. Depression and stress is like a contaminated fog. It's something that you can't get out of, but you want help, and no one can help you. It can be overwhelming and it can cause horrible situations and even suicide. What causes depression? Depression can be triggered by many things: losing a parent, especially at a young age, losing a job, failed relationships, and even your mindset. If you feel alone and your parents or your family or friends aren't coming around like they used to, it can make you feel a certain type of way. And even your insecurities can get in the way. If you don't look like an Instagram model that you've seen on Instagram or that you've seen in a magazine, it can make you feel pretty bad. What causes stress? Stress is a big one. It's something that I go through personally, and it even caused me to have eczema. And some of the time, I don't even know that I'm stressing, but I am. It can be caused by jobs, schools, just the overload of work can be exhausting for the human being. It can also be triggered by health concerns such as waiting for test results, surgeries, body changes, and even cancer. Life changes is a really big one. Starting a family. Babies are stressful. If you don't have that support system that you need, it can be overwhelming. And moving to a new location, new job, everything, it can be a lot for a person and that can cause stress. But financial worries is top tier. With the information that is going on with today, it is hard to provide for yourself and your family. So that is something that is very, very stressful with today. Why should depression be taken seriously? Depression is no joking matter. If you see signs of your family or friends that are depressed, or if they're telling you that they're not feeling it, that they want to lay down all day in a dark room, you should really check on them. They can stop eating, bathing, coming outside, or even self harming themselves. You should really take it seriously, especially if they're losing weight rapidly and if they're lazy and become distant from you. It can also affect students academically. I know personally when I was in the 11th grade, I was really, really stressed and my GPA dropped down low. For my for me, it dropped very low. My mom noticed and she got me the help that I needed. Adults job wise, if they want to lay down all day, they keep calling in, check in on them. That's all that they need. My conclusion is the treatment for stress and depression. Ask them if they are okay, if they need anything, how are they feeling, if they want to go out on a picnic, take them to the lake, get them outside, make them feel safe and important. Take them to therapy if it gets even worse. Maybe their doctor might need to put them on medication. It could be something medical. You can try yoga, meditation, even writing something down will help you. I know personally that I like to write down how I feel, or even if it's something that's bothering me, I write it down and I burn it to get rid of all that negativity. Um, but this was my informative speech, and thank you for watching. Again, my name is Antasia Easter.
I haven't talked about it a lot, but I would tease Antasia a little bit there at the end because in the last 20 seconds, she did throw in a and an For any presentation like this, stress and depression, it is so helpful if the speaker has gone through those circumstances that they talk about them honestly and effectively. And that's what she does. It certainly is a cathartic device for a lot of people to talk about. Let's go back to her title slide. The one thing I would want you to do, Antasia, is to put your name on the title slide so everyone knows who you are if I decide to take this outline and put it up on my website. And something else that I will mention for the last time this week. Slideshow from beginning, full screen for all your slides, not seeing this, and then and only then can you determine the most proper place to insert your webcam. I'll talk about that a little bit more on Monday, but let's make certain that we get that out of the equation starting next week. When we scroll through her storytelling ability, what is stress and depression, with 3 bullet points, paying attention to her eye contact as well. What causes depression? And depression can be a variety of things. If you lose a family member, if you lose a friend, sometimes what causes depression can be a trigger that comes out of nowhere. Music that you hear on the radio. You're walking along and something just triggers your depression from a visual that you see. It's not unusual, but I think what's appropriate to mention in any speech on depression is that it is natural. Everyone is going to have what is either depression or melancholy or having feelings of self-doubt. What causes stress? Life changes, definitely. She's being very conscientious all the way through here with her bullet points, and therefore transitioning into why should depression be taken seriously, some of the triggers with people who may have some issues with depression, especially if they become more quiet. Depression is no joking matter, and certainly for people in your age group, it should be taken seriously because it can affect, as she mentions here, quote, it can also affect students' academics and adults' jobs and personal lives. Look at the concentration that she has here with her eyes, looking down at her screen. Same thing as we go to treatment for stress and depression, including 3rd and 4th bullet points on yoga and writing about your feelings. Again, that ability to use it as a cathartic device. And keeping in mind, guys, whatever people feel, no matter what age level with stress and depression, it is not unusual. Many people are undergoing those symptoms. They just might not realize that, oh gosh, I'm alone. No, that's not the case. Many people have those same feelings, as she brings it up in the last moments of her speech. Let's get into the middle part of this, put on closed captioning, and check out her ability to speak in complete sentences.
Stress. Stress is a big one. It's something that I go through personally, and it even caused me to have eczema. And some of the time, I don't even know that I'm stressing, but I am. It can be caused by jobs, schools, just the overload of work can be exhausting for the human being. It can also be triggered by health concerns such as waiting for test results, surgeries, body changes, and even cancer. Life changes is a really big one. Starting a family. Babies are stressful. If you don't have that support system that you need, it can be overwhelming.
And it's really a good point that she brings up on being overwhelming. Let's keep the closed captioning on and get to roughly the last minute of her speech and continue to check out not only her conclusion, but the complete sentence structure and her transition into a conclusion.
Hey, if they need anything, how are they feeling? If they want to go out on a picnic, take them to the lake, get them outside, make them feel safe and important. Take them to therapy if it gets even worse. Maybe their doctor might need to put them on medication. It could be something medical. You can try yoga, meditation, even writing something down will help you. I know personally that I like to write down how I feel, or even if it's something that's bothering me, I write it down and I burn it to get rid of all that negativity. Um, but this was my informative speech, and thank you for watching. Again, my name is Intasia Easter.
I don't know why the closed captioning just froze. It can be overwhelming. Let's reinforce again. I really like her storytelling approach with all of these slides now going from back to front. You can tell that she's done her research on all of these items, on what causes depression, some of the issues with stress and depression, and her title slide. Now I'm going to leave it there for the time being. Let's assume that she's got a full slide, not slideshow from beginning, but a full slide where all of this from left top and bottom, right top and bottom consists of this right here. What she would want to do is to take this font style, make it a little bit smaller, and then determine where she wants to place her webcam. That's something I'll talk about next week, which is also another reason, guys, you need to watch every last minute of every last video. And it's also something that I've determined that as a professor, repetition in an online course is very helpful and essential to your overall improvement. And I don't mind doing it. Now we get to what, as of right now, potentially is our final speech of the week. I'm checking my SAU email account, and I am checking in real time my Yahoo account and the spam. So to the best of my knowledge, this is going to be our final informative speech of the week. The topic is how to be successful in college. Before I put it on, for those of you who have had issues with the internet, issues with your computer, always make certain that you stay in contact with me. There are a couple of you who haven't been in contact with me at all, and you need to make certain that you do as soon as possible, because obviously that's going to affect your grade. Which would tie into our final speech of the day, informing us on how to be successful in college. I received this during class, and I'm happy to play it. So here we go.
Hi, my name is Zakai McCamey, and I'll be doing my informational speech over how to be successful in college. So step one is to participate in class. You always have to ask yourself, are you showing up to class prepared and putting meaningful thought in your work? You have to engage in your educational efforts, answer questions, and ask for clarification, and also build on your classmates' comments with your comments, and also make sure you're engaging with your teacher as well. Like, ask questions and also answer questions. But also don't be rude when you're answering other classmates' questions. The second step is time management. In college, you have to understand the difference between wants and needs. You may want to go to a party, but you need to get your work done. So you have to always make sure you put your assignments first, and you always have to make sure you're organizing your time wisely and you maintain the schedule and set reminders, and also prioritize your work first. And then after all that is done, you can go out and enjoy yourself. Also, don't try to crowd yourself in too much work. Try to handle everything one at a time. Don't stress yourself out. Step three is get involved. You can widen your social circle by getting involved in college. Students with similar interests can be met and friendships may be formed. Participating in campus activities can also enhance your sense of belonging. You have to allow yourself to develop new skills, like go out and do something that you never thought that you would do, like just play a game with some people that you never met before. Try to talk to those people. You can play soccer, kickball, volleyball, as many campus activities that you can do without like going out and party. You can like play games with people around in your dorm rooms and just really enjoy yourself. You can also allow you to explore new interests, like going to the gym, one thing I have learned while here in my bridge, I never really like going to the gym, but I met some friends and I'm going to the gym every day now because that's something that I like doing now. And you should also discuss your academic performances and your career plans with your professor and deans because you never know. Talking to someone can help you get scholarships or internships. So always just like try to talk to your professors and ask them questions about how they got in that position. Like if you want to be a teacher, ask them about their career plans as well. Step 4 is develop self-awareness. Students who have self-awareness skills can see themselves in their emotion clearly. Not only does this enhance students' ability to recognize their own strengths and limitations, which is beneficial in their education, but it's also foster feelings of confidence and purpose. So one thing you can do to help with your self-awareness is keep a journal for your thoughts and just write down about your day. Make sure your self-esteem and yourself is good, establish your work towards your goal. Like never just give up on yourself. Everything that you do should go towards your goals for your future self and use your strengths and also believe in yourself. Also understanding that sometimes your wants can overrule your needs. Sometimes you can take a break. Never just stress yourself out and from your schoolwork. Take a break from your schoolwork, sorry, and focus on yourself. Don't stress yourself out in college. Actually have fun because this is once in a lifetime of things. So enjoy it while you can. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
I like that little look with her eyes there at the end, but I do appreciate the fact that she gave me a little bit of slack there at the end of the presentation. So let's examine from back to front the visuals that she provides on this particular topic. How on step 4 you can develop self-awareness, how you can see your emotions clearly with those 4 bullet points, keeping in mind whatever is going to help you remain extemporaneous. If you feel as if highlighting something helps you, that's okay. When you go to my syllabus, what do? I highlight the major assignments. Quote, keep a journal for your thoughts, establish and work toward goals, use your strengths, believe in yourself. That's so helpful. And keep in mind, there may be people who want to drag you down or be negative. That usually says more about the person who is being negative rather than anything about you. That's where you just have to develop a hard shell and figure the heck with those people who are being negative. I'm going to stay positive. And then at the bottom, quote, right there, also understanding that sometimes your wants can overrule your needs. Sometimes you can take a break from your schoolwork and focus on yourself. Don't stress yourself out in college. Actually have fun because this is a once in a lifetime type of thing, so enjoy it while you can. It's the same thing with this course. I don't view it in such a way where you have to sit down and now I have to research my informative speech. My experience, guys, has been in these types of courses, the ideas for topics are more organic, where they sprout out of nowhere and your research comes out of nowhere. You have a couple of ideas, and all of a sudden, hey, there's a slide, there's a main point, there is step 4, develop self awareness. As we transition back, notice that she is being faithful to the concept of being extemporaneous. We can see her pretty clearly in the webcam. And then on step 3, get involved, allow you to develop new skills, allow you to explore new interests. The only thing I would say is to remember that on the SAU speech critique, there is something called text image balance. It wouldn't be a bad idea to have slides that include not only text, but possibly an image of something. Is there a new skill that you could place an image on? Is there a new interest where you could put an image onto a particular slide and that will expand on your particular point and help you fill the time more clearly? And then at the bottom, Again, quoting, you should also discuss your academic performance and career plans with your professors and deans. You never know if talking to someone can help you get scholarships and internships. All of us who are professors, all of us who have been in those roles at one time were students. Don't ever be afraid to ask me a question because you never know. Some people are just going to be very, very shy when it comes to that particular subject matter. And then you get back into eventually step 2, time management. For this course, you know you've got one major presentation a week, 4 in a time span of 5 weeks. So her 4 main points include, again, quoting, organize and use your time wisely. She includes maintain a schedule, set reminders, and prioritize. The set reminders and prioritize, oftentimes you're going to change depending upon the schedule. But on the topic of how to be successful in college, participating in class is certainly appropriate. Ask yourself, are you showing up prepared? And again, she has those bullet points highlighted. Engage in your educational efforts, answer questions, and ask for clarification, and build on your classmates' comments with your comments. Watching all of these videos is your version of class participation, the 10 points that you earn for the course. And then the title slide for being successful in college. Let's pick up with the closed captioning on. Let's go back to the last minute of the speech and pick up her conclusion and speaking in a complete sentence structure.
Feelings of confidence and purpose. So one thing you can do to help with your self-awareness is keep a journal for your thoughts and just write down about your day. Make sure your self-esteem and yourself is good, establish your work towards your goal. Like, never just give up on yourself. Everything that you do should go towards your goals for your future self, and use your strengths, and also believe in yourself. Also, understanding that sometimes your wants can overrule your needs. Sometimes you can take a break. Never just stress yourself out. And from your schoolwork, take a break from your schoolwork, and focus on yourself. Don't stress yourself out in college. Actually have fun, because this is once in a lifetime of things. So enjoy it while you can. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
She says thank you at the bottom. There's still 4 seconds. So I do appreciate the fact that she took quite a bit of time before actually wrapping things up. So our presentations for today in reverse chronological order were tips for college success, why stress and depression should be taken seriously, vitiligo, what are heartworms, the history of the Nintendo Wii console, and facts about potholes. Now I'm cheating a little bit because I'm looking at all of these tabs before coming back on screen. The informative presentations we've had this week do show improvement on a number of levels, but I wanted to come back on camera before going to Blackboard in just a moment for this reason. For a couple of you, the reason that you always want to watch every last minute of every last video session is things like the slideshow mode, full screen, then determining where your webcam is going to be. We'll talk about that a little bit next week for persuasive speech day 1. Let's return to the student preview mode of Blackboard. I'm vamping for time here to eventually find the page. And from this location, as you're well aware, next week it will be week 4 on top with the dates. At the tools area, probably Sunday night, at My Grades, I will have the scores posted for the informative speeches, maximum of 20. It's nice to see your improvement. At Class Collaborate Ultra, this was shown at the beginning of class. Menu bar, recordings, up on top, roughly about 20 minutes or so after I've officially concluded the recording, will be session 11, the second day of informative speeches. and at the course syllabus area, the itinerary for next week. Reiterating what was shown earlier, we have Persuasive Speech Week, Monday, June 19, Persuasive Speech Research. Tuesday, June 20, Persuasive Speech Topic Selection. Wednesday, June 21st, Persuasive Speech Day 1. Thursday, June 22nd, Persuasive Speech Day 2. And then back to the course syllabus area for the course speech schedule. A couple of you are in the category of internet issues or computer issues. Over the weekend, if you still have an informative speech to send to me and you fall into that category of a particular computer or internet issue, please make certain that either to my SAU email address or to the Yahoo email address, I receive a link to your presentation, no matter what the video is on. And I will take some time on Monday early on for the record to record those particular video clips of informative speeches either left over from day 1 or day 2 onto the class video itself. And then returning to the course syllabus area for the checklist. Whenever I'm grading your speeches, I always use these goals in content and delivery and visuals. I've talked about them a lot. The differentiating factor between grades at the end of the semester, obviously in a public speaking course, is going to be your improvement in those categories in green for delivery. Everything else matters. The content, the visuals, but the delivery is something that you really have to focus on in terms of overall improvement. And I think we're doing that so far. Final bit of interactivity on Blackboard for the day is going to be the syllabus. We'll move down to page 4. For those of you who want to do some preliminary research on persuasive speeches, my website, also available in instructor information, my Twitter feed, and then the electronic submission of assignments for those of you who are having some computer or internet issues. I'll work this in the window, demonstrative, informative, persuasive, wildcard presentations, all worth 20 points, the self-evaluation speech critique, and the class participation, 10 points each, for a total of 100. And then there's one more thing. My YouTube channel and the area in the playlist, which currently has some, but not all, examples of persuasive speeches. From this location on my YouTube channel in the playlist, there are a number of persuasive speech examples that I will be adding to over the weekend. But right now they include why you should not procrastinate, talk to someone about your problems, cartoons, why animation is an important and useful medium, positive co-parenting, heartworm prevention for dogs, pursuing celebrity lifestyles, all of which aren't necessarily the most serious topics, but persuading us does not mean you're going to be inundating us with hot takes. So as we conclude for the week, it's still nice to see the quality of improvement that all of you are making with informative speeches. Next week, we'll look at persuasive speeches, and then the final week will be wildcard, a topic of your own choosing. Let's continue the overall improvement. It's nice to see. As for SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking for the first summer session of 2023, that concludes the recording session for today.